Hey guys, this is Sherry and William's YouTube channel and welcome back. I'm William and today we're going to be talking about buying cars in Zambia. Now there's a few things that we need to go over when buying cars in Zambia. So the first thing obviously is prices, right? So I'm going to give you a few examples of when you buy from an individual versus when you're buying from a garage. Then I'm going to go over why is there a price difference, and then later on we'll get to taxation and stuff like that. So yeah, let's start. Alright, so talking about buying cars, if you buy a SUV, something like a RAV4 from a garage, you can pay anything from 130 to 155 and 60, and you can even go up to 180. And then normally the kilometers would be something like 80 up to 150,000, somewhere within that range. If you're lucky you can still find 60, but then obviously the price would be very high. So that is one example if you buy from the garage or importer or even a bonded warehouse, which we'll get to later on. Then there are cars like Aliens which have 1.4 liter engines, so they're normally like a cheaper version of a Camry and a Corolla. So those type of cars normally go for about 78 to 90, but most likely you'll find them within the 90 range, and then they'll have 60,000 kilometers up to like 130,000 kilometers. And once again, this is buying from garages. So small hatchbacks, something like a Vitz or a Nissan Note or one of those type of cars, you can normally pay 75 to about 120 depending on the year, model and condition, and also whether you're lucky enough to find low kilometers in a good condition with a new model. Sometimes they have specials, but normally you would pay quite a bit. Then for example something like a Urus, that would be 95,000 on general, up to 120 or 130 for a 2006 model with about 70,000 kilometers. So those are roughly some indicative prices when buying from a garage or importer or bonded warehouse or something similar like that. Now in Lusaka, if you buy from an individual, you'll see that the prices actually change quite a bit. So for the same RAV4 that you would buy from a garage, if you were to buy from an individual, you would still pay a similar price, and that's because SUV type vehicles are in demand. So whether it be a Prado, whether it be a Nissan X-Trail, whether it be a RAV4, these type of cars are in demand. So in certain brands like Nissan, you could find it cheaper buying from individuals, but also sometimes you just need to be aware of the quality. Then going on forward, sedans, so Aliens, and I'm talking about the 1.4 engines, so not like 2-liter sedans. So 1.4 liter sedans from individuals. Now this price changed greatly, like because from an individual you can find, even for 40,000 you can find a pretty decent 1.4 liter sedan with roughly about 80,000 kilometers on it, to normally a 2006 model or similar in that area. That's not too bad, but you can also go up to 80,000. It all depends on the brand, the condition of the car, the kilometers, and all sorts of things like that. And then small hatchbacks like Vitzes, for example, you can buy 2006 models for about 30,000, but then obviously you just need to check the condition as well. They normally have 60 to 120,000 kilometers on them, but you can also find 2011, 2012 model Vitzes with 60,000 kilometers on them for only 80,000 kwacha, which is not bad. And this is now from individuals. So you can see that in some vehicles there's a big change when it comes to pricing. And also another thing is, once you've registered a vehicle within Zambia, the value automatically and immediately decreases. So you can buy a car right now, have it registered, sell it back to the same guy, and you won't be able to get the same money that you just paid for it. Which is interesting, but obviously something like a Land Cruiser or a RAV4, that never applies to those type of cars. So in demand type of cars will always you will always be able to either make a profit from it, or you would be able to break even, or at least get close to breaking even. And then another thing is, most garages are more like bonded warehouses, so they don't actually pay the duty up until the point whereby you buy the car. So those are all unregistered vehicles, and that is another reason why they charge so much. If you were to buy from a garage, they need to pay the duty, they need to go and pay the road tax, it needs to get go through the road certification to make sure that the car is roadworthy, and all sorts of things that need to be checked. Also, they need to go to Interpol to make sure the car is cleared, but normally they do have the Interpol once the car is actually already there, so normally that's not an issue. But the whole process takes about a week. A week to 2 weeks, depending on if there's any problems or any hiccups in the system, or systems down. That also happens sometimes. But versus buying from individual, you can do it within a week, but if you're lucky and if everything goes fast enough, you could even finish within 2 days. And then just another thing that you need to also keep in mind is, if a diplomat is basically driving his car and he drives it for 5 years, you can then buy the car from him for the same value or similar value to what he paid for it, or you could offer him less, minus the duty, because the car's already been in the country for 5 years. So if you are to purchase a car, I would suggest maybe trying to buy from an embassy or a diplomat, someone who is duty exempt and has had the car for 5 years. That would save you a lot of money. But other than that, there are also affordable options in the market, as well as very luxurious options in the market. Lusaka does have, and Zambia in general, does have dealerships, so they'll have the original dealerships where you can buy brand new cars. Then they'll have dealerships who are importers and bonded warehouses, something like Jan Japan and those type of companies, which also really are quite reliable in the quality of car that they sell, and they're very forward with what is wrong with the car, what's not wrong with the car, and what you're basically getting if you buy it. The only thing is they charge quite highly in comparison to buying from an individual. But once again, buying from an individual, you run the risk that you don't know exactly what's wrong with that car, and to be honest, a lot of people not exactly going to tell you what's wrong with the car. Always bargain the price. It's only when you buy a brand new car from an official dealership like Toyota or Land Rover or one of those dealerships that you cannot argue the price, of course. But when it's from a dealership or importer like Jan Japan, or it's from individual, there's always a little bit of room for negotiation. When it comes to individual, there's a little bit more room than when dealing with an importer, but that's just something to keep in mind. Before you buy the car, obviously one of the things is get a mechanic to actually check the car, check the engine, check the suspension, do a thorough sweep of the car before you buy it. Don't trust that the car is in a good condition just because someone smiles and tells you so. And then the second thing is, you can actually get the car and all the documents without ever knowing if the car has speed fines on it or traffic offenses. So it is worth mentioning that you should always go to Ratsa and go check. You can also check from their website, paymyfines.com. Which is a very convenient online system whereby you just put in the license plate of a car and you can see all the speed fines and traffic offenses that they might have had over the few years or over the months or days, whatever the case might be. And then also you do need to go to the police station to actually get affidavit that you're buying the car. You do need to check with Ratsa, obviously. In cases where there's serious issues, the license white book will be blocked and you can't take it there. And then lastly, obviously it used to be more favorable to import your own car versus buying locally or buying from a dealership. But the issue is, with the 2020 taxes, or the taxes are they as they are in 2020, you could buy a car for $1,000 and then pay basically 3 times more than what the car's worth, just on taxes alone. So it doesn't really make sense that like they've set it up in a way that it's a fixed amount as per your engine size and then also the type of vehicle. So you'll see sedans, they have basically their own bracket, and then according to engine size you get obviously carbon taxed, you get the duty that you need to pay, and it's a fixed amount. So regardless of the value of the car, if the engine size is 1.4, you're going to pay duties for a 1.4 sedan. So in some sense I guess it's a good thing. I mean, if you buy a brand new car or import a brand new car and you're paying duties on that, then I guess you're winning a little bit. But if you're buying a very old car with a 1.4 liter engine, it doesn't really make sense to do that. You could import yourself, but I would not recommend it. It's a hassle because you would have to go through the Durban port or the Dar es Salaam port, and then by the time the car comes, a lot of times there's pieces missing from the car because they're obviously stripping it a little bit on the way. There have been cases of that. And then also dealing with customs and paying your duties and all those sort of things. Most of the time it goes smoothly, but it could happen that there could be problems and it could cause quite a headache for yourself. If you are expat, there is a nice advantage to actually coming to work in Zambia. So the thing is, if you've owned a car prior to coming to Zambia, then you are allowed to bring in that owned car duty free. It needs to be within the first 6 months of your arrival, and obviously you do need to have your permit because you'll have to go through a interview at ZRA, and obviously Ratsa will have to check your documents and all sorts of things like that. But definitely that system is in place, and for those of you who already own a car, it would just make a lot more sense just to bring your car here. So once you've decided to purchase a car, now there's a few things that need to happen. So obviously you need to check with Ratsa that the car doesn't have any offenses or any speeding fines or anything, so that you can deduct that from the price basically, or they can get it sorted out before you make the purchase. The car also needs to get inspected before you do the change of ownership. You've gotten the documents from Ratsa and you've gotten the police clearance basically to say the car, you're purchasing the car and the car is clean and everything. Then you go back to Ratsa with the full documents and everything to basically change ownership. And then once you have changed ownership, the car needs to be inspected again, and this is normally done by Komosa, but you would buy the needed documents from Ratsa. So you first go to Ratsa, get the inspection forms, it's like 100 kwacha, then go to Komosa, get the vehicle inspected. They will then give you basically the car fitness certificate, which is valid for a year. You would have to then put that sticker on your car. Then also all cars in Zambia need to have insurance, whether it be comprehensive insurance or third-party insurance. So once the fitness is done, you can go to any agency. You can either get comprehensive or third-party insurance. Now third-party insurance would basically cover any damages done to any vehicle that bumps into you or any other person basically that might get affected because of your actions. Comprehensive though would cover yourself and the third party altogether. The difference is third party is very affordable. It's 165 kwacha per quarter, whereas comprehensive insurance works on 6% of your car value. So if your car is valued at 90,000, 6% of that is what you would basically pay to the insurance. So that could be quite a big lump sum. And then obviously your road tax would also need to be paid. Road tax would be 700 for the full year, and it would be 200 kwacha for 1 quarter. But once your road tax is also paid, then basically your car is roadworthy. A few things to also just keep in mind: you need to have triangles in your car. They don't accept plastic triangles. I have no idea exactly why, but that's something to keep in mind. and also you're supposed to have a fire extinguisher in your car, which the car obviously does not come with standard, but luckily you can buy that from Game or Builder's Warehouse, or any hardware place should have a fire extinguisher that you can obviously just purchase and put in your car. That is basically what buying a car in Lusaka or Zambia is like. If you guys have any further questions, please feel free to comment and we'll try to answer as best as we can. Also, just take into account that this is 2020, so if you guys are watching this video in a few years or whatever, it's not applicable anymore. But yeah, it's still good information, and I hope this video helps, and we'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye bye.